Boom. Slideshow. Play from start. This is plugged in. All right. Let's hope this works. Welcome. How you guys doing? Good? Good. All right.
How are you?
It's going. I'm here. You know? Every day I wake up and I'm here, I'm happy. You know? Hello. It's okay. Are you Lynn?
Yes.
All right. Have I addressed everyone by name now? If I have not called your name, raise your hand. All right. Woo! This room is. You got like 2 spots left. All right. We're packed up in here. Okay. So, who was able to get the course pack? What? Raise your hand high if you're able to get the course pack. All right. Not nearly enough people. Get the course pack. Okay? I mean, let me rephrase that. Get the course pack if you want to do okay in the class. You can choose not to get it. It's on you. All right? Okay, here's what we're going to do today. These were not in the reading because they're actually relatively simple to understand. So rather than have you do readings in these this semester, I'm just going to explain them. This was the bulk of the reading. Industry analysis, Porter's 5 forces. We'll be doing this on Wednesday. All right, not today. We may still be doing a little bit more of this on Wednesday, depending how things go. But let's give it a shot. For those of you who are just joining this time, classes are generally laid out like this. I tell you what we're doing for the week. Then I show you Marty McFly and Doc Brown. Talk about what we did last time. Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions. All right. What comprises a strategy statement? Who remembers? No? Okay.
Strategy statement is what defines the product of the company.
Okay.
What are they selling, or what type of product they're selling, or what type of services.
In part, 3 things in particular. And you remember, you can look at your notes. If you took notes, you can look at your notes. Okay. All right, next question. What are the 3 elements in the Syracuse strategy stoplight? It's also 3 things. Okay, all right, so that's one of them, yeah. So I was thinking more of the 3 things that help determine firm economic profit and consumer surplus. Yep.
Willingness to buy.
Willingness to pay. That works. That's 1. Price. 2.
And cost.
Cost. Great. How do you sustain a competitive advantage?
Add value.
You have to create value, and then you have to capture. You have to capture the value. Okay. All right. Objective, scope, and advantage. Values and missions are important. They constrain what you can do, but they are not strategy by themselves. Okay. Strategy is also about knowing what not to do. We talked about that. You guys remember sushi, macaroni and cheese? Sounds terrible still, I hope. All right. And then cost, price, and willingness to pay. All right. You create value here, right? You create value by taking some materials that cost you some money and then doing something to them. It's basically all business is. You buy some stuff, you do something to it, and you make it worth more that people are willing to pay for it. That's creating value, okay? But if you're going to survive as a business, you have to capture some of that value, all right? This is how you survive. It gives you the money to reinvest and to keep going as a concern, all right? What's going to affect these 3 things? What do you think? What's going to affect willingness to pay, price, and cost? Well, think about you, right? Why do you buy something? What makes you willing to pay for something?
Because I want it.
You want it. Why do you want it?
Because I need it.
Okay. All right. Do you drink milk? So you need milk. How much are you gonna pay for milk?
Whatever it costs.
Whatever it costs. You're buying $20 a gallon milk?
No,
No, you're not buying $20 a gallon milk. Why?
that's too much.
It's too much. All right, so your willingness to pay for milk is limited. Okay, all right, there's a reason for that, right? Commodity products, generally, you're not going to pay more than a certain price for them, unless there's something particular about them. Maybe it's organic milk, right? Then maybe you'll pay $6 a gallon like you do at Whole Foods, right? Okay, maybe it's organic goat milk. I'm guessing I don't have many goat milk drinkers in here. Right. It's a little gamey. The cheese is good. The goat milk's not the best, but that might bring the willingness to pay up. Okay. All right. What affects the cost?
Maybe if they have like a cow epidemic or something and there's not enough milk to supply
Okay.
the demand, so.
All right. So maybe there's not enough cows or goats to go around, and this messes up the cost, right? I like this farming thing, so I'm gonna keep going with that. Do you guys drink almond milk? Almond milk. It's ridiculous that it's called milk, but you drink crushed up almonds in water, right? Almonds require what to be grown? Land. What else? Sunlight. What else? Water. What else? People, labor, seeds, nutrients. There's one big important thing that you may not think about almonds.
Person?
Labor,
The
people,
sun.
the sun, bees. Almonds trees cannot self-pollinate, right? So you have to bring in bees to fly amongst all the trees to get them to pollinate and then to make almonds. Okay? In fact, 70% of all the honeybees in the US help to cross-pollinate almond trees. How are the bees doing? Bees are not doing good, right? Jacks up the cost of almond milk. You didn't think I was going to be talking about bees today. Okay. But there are other things that affect price, cost, and willingness to pay, and a lot of them relate to everything that we're going to talk about today. So, before I move on, any questions about stuff we learned last week, the course, what snacks are available today?
What do you got?
Oh, I got some gummy bears. I got these off-brand Nutri-Grain bars. I got some of these Kind bars, and I got Rice Krispie treats. And chocolate, of course. So, get involved. Because I think y'all are a little sleepy. So I highly recommend. You can get up during class and grab something. For real. Okay? All right. Did I talk about strategic groups? I do. All right. We're talking about this stuff today. Talk about how to use SWOT, how to use PESTLE, understanding the 5 forces, connect them to value creation and capture, which, as I just mentioned, is price, cost, and willingness to pay. Has anyone heard of SWOT? Okay.
Yeah.
SWOT. All right. Who wants to tell me what SWOT stands for? Garrett.
Isn't it like strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats?
Yeah, 2 points for Gryffindor. Right? No, that's absolutely right. Okay. It's a framework you use to try to understand what's happening with an organization. It's a way to sort of bracket your thinking. Has anyone heard of PESTLE? Is it Christina?
Yes,
What is PESTLE? I saw you nodding your head.
it's the same thing as SWOT, but the letters are different, so the abbreviation is different.
I'm gonna let that slide. That's close though. Albert?
Isn't it political, economic, social, technological? It's kind of like SWOT, except it examines external forces.
Yes. You're right. I was giving you a little hard time. You're right. Okay. So before I would give you a reading about these, but a lot of the readings about them aren't great. Thing one, these are more checklists to understand something than theory. Okay? So it's a way to make sure you're hitting all the things you need to hit in order to understand what's happening in the external environment, okay? And the important thing to understand about them is that they all exist in context, all right? Certain things that are strengths or weaknesses only become that in certain situations. And then there's no such thing as an opportunity or a threat without context, okay? There's some sort of quality that a company or a person has that becomes an opportunity or a threat in a given situation. For example, I'm a little bit chubbier than I'd like to be. And if I'm trying to run away from trouble, that might make it a little bit harder, all right? That's a threat, all right? But fat floats. So like if I'm on a boat and I fall off of it, I'm not gonna sink right away. All of a sudden it becomes an opportunity not to drown. So strengths and weaknesses only exist within context, all right? So it's just important to pick apart what those are. Again, not everyone teaches it like this, but I think it's important to understand that the particular qualities of the company may give them opportunities or threats depending on what's happening, okay? All right, so what's a strength?
What a company is good at, like,
Is what it's good at, okay? Something that may give it, in this case, since we're specifically talking about competitive advantage, something that may give it a competitive advantage.
yeah, I was about to.
You're about to get there? Okay, I just jumped you gun a little bit. All right. What's a weakness in this case? Something that they're less good at, something that's missing. All right. What are some of Amazon's strengths?
Fast delivery.
Fast delivery, something that gives it a competitive advantage. Fast delivery. What else? Variety. Okay.
Quality.
Quality. Oftentimes. Prices. Okay. Bezos. That's important. That's important. No, like human resources can definitely be a strength, a competitive advantage for a company. All right, one of the biggest competitive advantages of Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett. I guarantee you the day that Warren Buffett chooses to leave this world, Berkshire Hathaway stock is going to lose 20% because he is the driving force. He's the key resource to that organization. Okay? What are not strengths or weaknesses? Matteo?
Something that you're like kind of not good or bad at, it's just something that you're decent at, I guess.
Something that you're middle of the range at. Not quite, but I appreciate the thinking.
Something that you can do in the future, maybe, like your opportunity, like what you can, how you can excel in the market.
Okay, an opportunity in the future, that is not a strength or weakness. The key thing to point out here is that sometimes when people look at a SWOT analysis, they basically think that anything is good is a strength and anything that is bad is a weakness, and that's nonsense, okay? It's very specific things, qualities about the organization, okay? A recession is not a weakness, okay? A booming stock market is not a strength. That's something else entirely. The S&W of SWOT are referring to internal parts of the organization. Now, I'm going to give you a framework for how to better examine the internal parts, but I just want to point that out now. Okay? Opportunities and threats. What's an opportunity?
Well, I was gonna say, for example, like Amazon creating their own freight was like an opportunity for them to minimize costs.
Okay, yeah, no, so they would have had to have some sort of resource that would allow them to do it, right? And then there was something in the external environment that made that an opportunity for them. Yes. It's good. What else? Opportunity.
A potential.
Okay. Example. It is a potential, yes, but an example.
Booming economy. Booming economy.
It depends on what business you're in, right? So like if you're a check cashing place, booming economy is not your friend. That's a threat, right? Because you lend to people for lots of money. Okay, Cameron?
Say your business is growing and a property nearby that is larger goes up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
That's an opportunity.
Potentially, what's happening in the area? What business are you in?
Seafood.
Not you in particular,
Oh.
but this hypothetical
Well,
business that you're talking
that's
about.
hypothetical too, right?
Okay. Okay.
So you, toy making.
Okay.
So you're a local shop, I guess. You make wooden toys because you're into that sort of thing, I guess. And
Yep.
you're doing very well, and you want to go to another building so you can hire more people and make more toys, pretty much.
Okay. So you're already doing well in your business. However you're set up to be successful is working. Land becoming available will be an opportunity. It's good. Albert.
I think opportunities are chances to create and capture value.
Ah, well done. It's a very succinct way of putting it. All right. On the flip side, then what's the threat?
Something very dangerous.
Hmm?
Very dangerous.
Something that's something that potentially
Harm the
destroys
company.
value or harms the company, depending on the circumstances.
Yeah, and another company's or competitor has a better, better profit than your company is,
Mhm.
that can get threat because they're rising above and they're getting more customers. Then,
Maybe it depends.
uh,
Okay. Important thing is you exist in an intersection. We're going to go through a worked example, but first I got to go through PESTLE. Okay. But today we're doing external environment analysis. We start out with SWOT because generally speaking, SWOT is something that you've heard about and makes sense, right? And that allows you to think about how various aspects of a company may or may not provide opportunity or a threat. The general environment, dropping my pen. PESTLE helps understand what the general environment is, okay? Then we have to think about the industry environment. Like that's the actual more local environment the company's operating in, okay? And we're gonna talk about both the dynamics and the things that directly influence industry profitability. But first, we've got PESTLE, all right? You guys are not nearly in awe of these pictures. You should be. Now how long it took me to come up with this graphical pie chart? Haters. All right, so I think someone already told me what PESTLE stood for. What is it?
Political,
Okay.
sociocultural.
Yep.
Environment, legal, technological.
Yeah, see all the pictures matching? All right, let's do this one step at a time. All right, political and legal influence how a society creates and exercises power, okay? The whole point of this exercise is to think about the things that could potentially impact the external environment for the companies and the industries that we'll be looking at, all right? What are some things that might fall into the political and legal segment of PESTLE?
Trade war. Trade war.
Trade war, very good.
Embargoes like we got on Cuba.
Ooh, embargoes, yeah. Because that's something that's a purely political move. Yep. What else?
Sanctions.
Sanctions,
Quotas.
quotas, that's political. What else? Think about the legal side of stuff. Regulation, antitrust. That's all the stuff that goes underneath here, okay? All right, again, this is a checklist. The idea is to think about the things in the environment. A lot of this stuff you've already learned in various other classes. This is just trying to put it together in a whole, okay? Economic segment. What goes here? Give you these ideas. We mentioned at least one of them already. Recession. What else?
Inflation.
Inflation.
Tariffs.
Tariffs, a little bit both, a little bit here, also political, because tariffs have to be enacted by Congress.
Stocks.
The stock market,
Interest rates.
interest rates, unemployment, trends in GDP. Yep, all right, we're trucking along. All right, sociocultural. My Burning Man picture, the rainbow Burning Man picture, y'all ain't here. Y'all ain't here. All right. Values influence the values, belief, lifestyles, and population trends of society. So, what goes in this segment? Religion. Who said religion? That's a good one. You don't think about religion as much in business as we should, but religious trends matter for like what you can do in various countries, what you can sell.
Media? Media?
What kind of, in particular, what?
Like TV, social media.
Okay, social media. I buy it. What else?
Location,
A little bit more.
like the difference between someone who lives in Alaska and South Boston.
Okay, so there's definitely some cultural factors at work there. I thought you were going more about like migration patterns, right? People moving from, like, New York State's gonna lose a representative seat probably in the next census because it's too cold, people have moved to the south. So that kind of thing falls into this.
Celebrities and influencers.
Celebrities and influencers absolutely affect culture.
So like, would it fall like into demographics?
Yes, absolutely, exactly. So basically, sociocultural just means society and people, right? So anything that kind of falls in that matters, okay? Some of these are really wild, so like people delaying having children, that's problematic in a lot of countries. You know, people going on keto, buying fewer French fries, okay? Generational size. This may be a stupid question, but you guys know why it's called the baby boomers? No?
Is it like after the war, everyone was having kids?
Yes.
Starting into a family?
Everyone was shagging after the war, yes. That's exactly why. So you had this really big bunch of people born all at once, okay? Any idea why that might be problematic?
School systems.
School systems,
Not enough jobs.
maybe not enough jobs. So the thing about like having a lot of people born at once, especially in the United States, is that Social Security is wonderful, but it's a pyramid scheme. So basically, you are paying into it, not so you can take the money you paid into it out later, but so you can pay out current benefits. So if you have one gigantic generation and one much smaller generation below it, okay, that's a problem, right? So again, this is a framework for thinking through the various issues that can come up. All right, technological segment. There's a description. What falls under it?
You say like buying patterns?
Technology. Come on, give me a little bit more. I heard buying patterns.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
So how people are buying like products or services, if they're buying it online versus in store, like brick and mortar versus e-commerce?
Okay, yeah. So what technology enables people to do from a retail standpoint? Absolutely. What else? Internet, to be sure.
The way people communicate?
Communication,
Development.
elaborate.
How developed the people are to use the technology.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're talking about people's knowledge of technology?
In Ukraine, nobody knows about Amazon.
Okay.
That's for sure.
So I can also, is it, if they knew about it, would there be enough internet access for you to take advantage of it?
Yes.
Okay. Good points. All right. We got it. Okay. And then environmental, sometimes you'll see ecological segment. What goes here? Give you a little hint.
Natural disasters.
To be sure, natural disasters. Yeah. What else? Global. Who said global warming? Global warming. Absolutely.
The weather?
So weather, global warming, natural disasters. I think we're aligned a little bit there. Although, of course, you could have natural disasters like earthquakes. What else?
Sustainability,
Elaborate.
having to meet new regulations to try and not increase global warming in the future.
All right. So you've hit a trifecta with that one. So basically, sociocultural, environmental, and then also political, legal. That's cool.
Pollution.
Pollution. What else? Yep.
Supply of resources.
Supply of resources. That's an important one because certain materials are not evenly distributed across the planet, right? Rare earth metals, things that you need to make iPhones. We don't have a ton of them in the United States. There's a lot of them other places. Lithium, kind of important. There's a whole lot of lithium in one country. Does anyone know what it is?
Germany?
No.
Japan?
Nope. Bolivia. Oddly enough. So that affects it. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of oil in the Middle East, right? So things are not evenly distributed, and that can affect how firms decide to position themselves, how they set up their supply chains. Okay? All right. Given what you've just learned, and a company that I hope all of you have heard of, okay? What are some strengths and weaknesses of Nike? Ibrahim?
Strength can be brand recognition.
Okay, they've got a brand everybody knows about.
Yeah.
Okay? What else? Yep.
We have great influencers with large following bases.
Okay.
Promote their products.
All right. So they have a brand that people know well, and they have a very deep marketing strategy associated with that brand. They're very good at marketing. What else? Are the shoes made here? No. Where are they made?
Maybe the sweatshops that are in other countries.
Okay, is that a strength or weakness? You sure? Why is it a weakness?
It's like it's a strength for them because it's cheaper.
Yes.
But it's a weakness for the reputation of the company.
Okay, so there are certain things that a company can have that can actually cut both ways, right? It's much cheaper to manufacture the shoes elsewhere, right? Take advantage of sort of the differential cost of labor. But there are obviously other potential reputational concerns that come along with it. It's good. What else? Where does most of their money come from? What product? Sneakers. They sell their stuff? Clothing? Is that where most of the money comes from, do you think?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both? Still, most of it comes from shoes, but they do sell both. Is it a strength or a weakness that most of their money comes from shoes?
Weakness.
It's a weakness? Why is it a weakness?
Because they have all the eggs in one basket.
Okay, fair enough. They all eggs in one basket. Counterpoint, why might it be a strength?
It has a really good share in like the shoe market. In
Right.
terms of like market share.
They focus on the shoes and they can sort of dominate that market. These are all good points. So, I thought about this too before class, because I'm the teacher and that's my job. Okay. All right, so strong brand marketing, low labor costs, which cuts both ways. Their materials are not expensive. Okay. Optimized tax structure. Does anyone know what that means? They have set up their business such that there are subsidiaries all over the world. Okay, and it allows them to essentially avoid paying income tax in the United States. Okay. Some other things we didn't talk about. Most of their profits come from the U.S. market. We talked about mostly shoes, and they outsource their production elsewhere. Okay, and I have these as green and red as the fact that in some respects these are strengths and these are weaknesses, but they cut both ways. All right. Can you think of some scenarios that might impact Nike?
Supporting Colin Kaepernick.
Supporting Colin Kaepernick, so political one, absolutely. Is that opportunity or a threat?
It could go both ways.
It could go both ways, right? What else?
Sociocultural,
True.
like the sweatshops.
Okay, so people might be like, you know what, we don't really like this whole sweatshop business. Okay, absolutely. What else? What's happening in November of this year? Election. Okay, how might that affect this?
It won't.
Hmm?
It won't.
It won't. Why not? Okay, let's look at it this way. Here's things that might happen. U.S. recession. get a larger, more influent labor middle class in Thailand. Climate change gets worse and it creates longer monsoon seasons. We had a Republican president, Democratic president, or interest in labor equality, to your sociocultural economic point, okay? So what you do is you just, because at some point you guys are going to do industry analysis and you're going to be looking at particular companies. So you want to think through things like this, all right? So if there's a more affluent middle class in Thailand, okay, low labor costs. Well, there's a threat. Product costs might not stay as low as cost of labor increases, okay? Like that's a threat. That's the intersection, right? Or more affluent middle class in Thailand, that's the PESTLE concern. Or you could say, you know, Nike's got a strong brand. It automatically puts it in a good position to take advantage of Asian markets. Okay? As people get interested in labor equality, well, a problem, a threat, might be Nike might have to pay its even more. So what happens? Prices go up. Alternatively, they could try to cultivate labor equality as part of its brand image. Nike could be like, we are the kind of people that pay its employees more, so you should buy our shoes. And who said that this didn't matter? Okay? The whole tax structure thing? Elizabeth Warren becomes president? That would be problematic for Nike, right? The tax code might be revised. That's distinctly possible. I'm not trying to say anything about who I think is going to win or who I'm preferring to win. I'm straight up saying that if there's a Democratic president, the tax code might be revised. Okay? That's distinctly possible. Alternatively, a Republican president, maybe Nike gets pressured to make more shoes here. Makes none here right now. Again, not a statement about who I think is going to win or prefer to win, but these kind of things matter for what happens to an industry. Questions? Does this make sense? Have you ever seen anything like this? No? All right, good. All right. Next step. What is an industry? Salam? Okay. How do you know the products are similar? It's tautological, okay, but tell me something about, like, so, all right, let me give you an example. Are CVS and Walmart in the same industry? I hear yes and I hear no's. All right, so for the yes side, why are they in the same industry?
Both pharmacies and kind of convenience stores.
Okay, so they're kind of pharmacies, kind of convenience stores.
Retail stores.
All right, so that's the case for maybe yes. Why no? Why no? Say it. Why no, man?
Because Walmart supplies in bulk as well.
Okay, so.
I thought you said Walgreens. I thought you said Walgreens.
Oh, I said Walmart, yeah.
Oh, okay. A little different.
They're a little bit different.
Yeah.
Walgreens and CVS are undoubtedly in the same industry, right? Okay. All right. Similar products, similar surface that are close substitutes. So they got to be pretty close, all right? And why should we care about industry analysis? This is a magic question, and I suspect a lot of you did not do the reading yet. None of you have seen the answer.
Is it like, cause like, you could like diversify the portfolio?
You could diversify the portfolio of things that you're doing. And we're going to talk about what happens when companies do that later on. All right. But why should we care about industry analysis?
You do an industry analysis to see if it's like worth getting into or not, basically.
Okay. So are you telling me that there's differences between industries?
Yes.
What? How so?
Well, I mean, like the fishing industry, I'm sure is different than the lumber industry and how they operate. So.
Okay. Yes, they're definitely different how they operate. Absolutely. I'm just giving you a hard time because it's fun. Here's why we should care. Again, we're at one of these points where I want you to take away, like, one key takeaway. Profits are not by accident. Okay? No matter what, certain industries, on average, will make more money than others. That has been the case, and that will continue to be the case. There are some industries, I don't care how efficient you are, the average profit in that industry is limited. And I think some of these won't be surprising to you. Pharmaceuticals, one of the most consistently profitable industries.
So this means that printing makes more money than motor vehicles?
Yes, on average. Motor vehicles has been a disaster, at least over this time frame. I'll update these numbers, but it's not going to get much better. It's been an absolute disaster. Okay? But there are certain forces at play that limit how much profits can be gotten out of these industries. I'm from Ohio, so this one matters to me a lot, iron and steel. Okay? Based on the number of competitors, the way this industry is set up, how it sources, these industries source material, it limits how much money can be made. You guys seem skeptical. We're tired. Do you not buy this?
But wouldn't some of them change, like the iron and steel, wouldn't that change with like the price of the going rate for steel?
Sure, it would change a little bit, right? But it affects them all the same way, right? And there's massively high fixed costs, and they're selling a commodity product, right? So what does that mean for the stoplight? How high is willingness to pay going to be for steel?
If what? I'm sorry.
Just in general. Steel is a commodity product, so can you convince me that you have differentiated steel?
No, yeah.
Probably not,
Yeah.
right? Yep. Products are not by accident. And this is something that Michael Porter noticed. Okay? And as I mentioned before, if you remember from economics, price equals marginal cost whenever you're in a highly competitive industry. So Porter basically said, all right, what would have to be the case for price to never be equal to marginal cost? All right? So there's an advantage in being in that industry. And we are going to think about how the various forces that he came up with affects all of these, okay? And how that affects what economic profits can be captured. Remember, if something's highly competitive, economic profits go to zero, okay? So what we're talking about with Porter's 5 forces is whether or not firm economic profits can potentially be large, or will they be constrained? Does that make sense? All right. You guys do not like my pictures enough. Look at these pictures. These are dope.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Guy's missing an arm.
Which one?
The bottom.
This one?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so each of these represent one of the Porter's 5 forces. Okay. Which one is which?
New entry
Which one?
on top.
Yes. It's a cat trying to break in. Threat of new entrance. Very good. What's the next one?
Competition.
Competition. What's competition? Where? This one?
One in the middle.
One in the middle. Yes. Competition. Competitive rivalry. And I heard Salam, you say one?
Supply
Which one?
on the left.
Yep. You got supplier power. And then what's this? Buying power.
Funding.
This is buyer power.
Okay.
Yeah, but funding. I understand why you would say that. Buyer power. You got one left. Football. Substitution. Okay? All right, be honest with me. So here's the thing. You can choose to do the reading or not, right? That's going to affect how you're going to do on the tests. But out of curiosity, who actually read industry analysis? Be honest. I'm not going to get mad at you. I'm just curious. Okay. All right. Okay. Buyer power. Buyers threaten industry by forcing down prices or bargaining for higher quality or more services. Okay. But in particular, you want to think about when a buyer group will be powerful. And if you just think about it logically, many of the things will make sense. All right. If it's concentrated or purchases of large volumes relative to the seller, It purchases from an industry that is standard and differentiated. The buyer faces few switching costs, a credible threat of backward integration, or the industry's product is unimportant to the quality of the buyer's products or services. All right? Basically, the buyer doesn't care about you that much. What are industries that you think have where there's high buyer power? And the easiest one to think about is switching costs. Okay? If switching costs are really, 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 really low, which means it's easy to switch, then the buyer has high power. I guarantee all of you who've been to one of these places in the past 6 months.
Fast food.
Fast food. Really high buyer power. You go into Quiznos and one day they're like, subs now $20. You're like, screw you, Quiznos, I'm going to McDonald's. It's really easy for you to go across the street to another place. Switching costs are easy. There's nothing locking you into eating at Quiznos. Unless you have some sort of deal I don't know about. What else? Nothing?
Maybe a cell phone, something, or like an internet provider.
Okay.
But
The
I know
internet.
there are costs that come with it, so I know it doesn't really work.
Okay. Well, is it easy to switch?
I mean, I think it's pretty easy to switch.
All right. If it's easy to switch, so it is kind of easy to switch. Something that internet providers try to do is they try to differentiate the product, right? If you sign up for Comcast, there's like 7 different kinds of speeds you can get. Comcast sucks, by the way. They're the worst. But that said, it's an undifferentiated product, which they try to make differentiated, right? But it's easy to switch, relatively speaking. They try to make it hard, though. Yeah,
Yeah,
that works.
locking you in a contract.
By locking you in a contract.
You gotta pay a late fee to get out of it or something like that, so.
Yeah, often, so contracts are an indication of an industry where there's high buyer power because they try to use the contract to make it harder for you to switch. It's one of the ways that they mitigate buyer power. What else?
What's the question you're asking?
Industries where there's high buyer power, because Force by Force is an industry analysis, right? So not stores, right? Not individual companies, but industries. You've all been to fast food, but keep thinking about food.
Got a different one, but it's not about food.
Okay,
Like the used car dealerships.
cars. All right, cars.
Does it force, you don't have to go in and buy that car, you could go to another dealership and find one cheaper maybe, or.
Maybe, because consumers are pretty well educated. That also matters. It's very easy to find out stuff about cars. It's fair.
Phone carriers.
Cell phones, yeah, they try to make it hard for you to switch, though, right? Because again, for contracts, try to make it very hard for you to switch, but it's an undifferentiated product, more or less.
Gas stations.
Gas stations, right? That's a completely undifferentiated product, right? It's gasoline. That's a pure commodity price, right? They try to make it slightly different with convenience stores, that kind of thing. Purely undifferentiated. Grocery stores. Is anyone locked into going to Whole Foods? Or going to Safeway or any of those places? Easy to switch. Okay? This makes sense? All right. Supplier power. This is the flip side. Okay? Suppliers can exert power by threatening to raise prices or reduce the quality of purchased goods or services. Okay? Some things you can look at to analyze supplier power are the buyer's price sensitivity or the buyer's switching costs, the relative bargaining power. We'll go into details to make this clearer. Okay? Dominated by a few companies is more concentrated. Not obliged to, what is that? Holy shit. Supplier group is not obliged to contend with substitute products for sale to the industry. Okay, so they have no real competition. The industry is not an important customer of the supplier group. The supplier's product is an important input to the buyer's business. Supplier's group's products are differentiated or has built up switching costs for the buyer. Okay, so there's one thing that almost all of you have where there is pretty strong supplier power. Some of you are using them right now.
Cell phones.
Apple phones.
Cell phones, to a certain extent, yes, because there's only so many makers of some of the equipment. But laptops, computers, PCs. Who gets the majority of profits in the PC industry? Nope. Microsoft and Intel. Microsoft and Intel get the vast majority of products. We're going to talk more about why when we talk about Apple, okay? But they are suppliers who get the vast majority of profits in the industry. Because they have a very differentiated product that is necessary in order for most PCs to run. What else? Yep.
What about gas? Like gas stations and stuff?
Gas is an interesting sort of problem because it's a purely commodity product, right? So I guess there is some supplier power in the sense that there is a cartel, a legitimate cartel, right? Right? OPEC's a cartel. So there is some supplier power. The suppliers have banded together and they fix prices. What else? See, if you'd done the reading, this would be easier to do.
School. School.
Interesting. Tell me more.
Well, universities, and go there. And, yeah, most of the universities are like not all the same prices, but it's kind of fixed.
Yeah, well, it's hard. Okay, they try to differentiate the product to be sure. It's hard to switch, right? Okay, universities have a bit of supplier power. Sometimes make it hard for you to transfer credits. That's supplier power. Does this make sense? See, I can't tell. I can't tell if it makes sense because you guys are quiet. All right. Okay. So you're in the industry. You maybe found ways to mitigate buyer and supplier power, but you have new people coming in. Okay, kind of come into the window and take your profits. What are some things that might limit someone to coming into your industry? High startup costs. Yes, you're probably not going to start a steel company tomorrow because it's really freaking expensive to do it. What else?
Location.
If, for whatever reason, you have to be situated in a particular place in order to do the industry, absolutely. Yeah.
Laws and regulations.
Laws and regulations, licensing, those kind of things can do it, which is why certain companies try to make the government do more licensing, is to limit how many people can be in the industry. Good, what else? Competition. If you know that if there's already a lot of people in the industry, coming into it's probably a bad idea. Especially if you know they're going to retaliate against you, right? If someone tries to come in and take Pepsi and Coke's market share, what are Pepsi and Coke going to do?
Team up and squish them.
Yes, they are. They're going to drop prices. They will institute a price war and basically knock out whoever's there, which is why you don't see a whole lot of people starting new cola companies, because cola is cheap. It's really easy to make. But you don't see one trying to do it on a global scale because they know the moment they do it, Coke and Pepsi are going to be like, whew, we're having none of this, and they're going to drop prices. Some other things. Economies of scale. This is another one of my things. If you take nothing away from this course, you should understand what economies of scale are. I guarantee you this will be a question in the test. What are economies of scale?
The more you make, the cheaper it is.
Very succinct, I like it. Yep. The more you make of something, the average price of production goes down, right? Very good. Demand side benefits. These are also called,
Demand side benefits can be, for producing at a lower cost and selling more products than, whatever the cost you get, the price you charge, and the customers are going to buy it on that price. So that could.
not quite.
Yeah,
Not quite. So when you see this, think network effects. You guys heard of network effects? Do you want to be the only person that owns a fax machine or a telephone? you want to be the only person on Facebook?
No.
No. You don't want to be the first person. You want to be one of many people, because the more people that are on the platform, the more that it's worth. That's a demand side benefit. Okay. We already mentioned capital requirements. Learning effects basically means is the more often you do something, the better you get at it. That drops costs down. Okay. Talk about retaliation. Talk about regulation. You guys nailed that one. Very happy about that. Okay. Substitutes. There's a method to my madness here. Just hold on. What up substitutes? You did the reading. You know what this is.
An alternative to a product.
Okay, but why? All right, what's the difference between a competitor and a substitute?
You can substitute a product with a different product that's not necessarily like from a different industry or.
Okay. Yes. Example.
I don't know, like if you want to eat something sweet, you could get like candy or you could get like a banana.
Yes. Yes. Banana is a substitute for candy. Absolutely true. Like Pepsi Cola is a competitor for Coca-Cola, but a substitute would be orange juice. Absolutely. Good job, right? Same need, different modality. Okay? But they do the same thing. They erode profits because they steal away business. It also matters how easy it is to get the substitute. Okay?
So is it fair to say that competition and substitutes are basically the same, or?
They're not quite the same. A competitor often has some of the same restrictions you do. They need some of the same things. So Pepsi and Coke both need water. They both need sugar, right? They pretty directly compete. But like if you're thinking about Coca-Cola versus like a juice manufacturer, they both need water, but they're slightly different, right? All of a sudden they need more like trees and land and oranges and that kind of stuff. So it's about how close both the product and the production, the technology used are. That lets you know whether or not something is a substitute or a competitor. All right. But similar problem, they erode profits either way.
Can substitution refer to cannibalism within a company?
Absolutely. If you think about, I think Apple's a good example, right? A tablet, an iPad, is not a laptop, right? They are slightly different, they do different things, but they have lots of overlap. So the iPad substitutes away or cannibalizes some of the laptop sales. Yeah. Okay. The thing to think about as far as rivalry goes, right? One, if there's lots of people and they're roughly the same size, lots of battling, lots of competition. Okay. You don't want to be in that industry because that's going to kill profits. And this is another big one, cost conditions. If they're high fixed costs, you also don't want to enter the industry. Do you have any idea why? It's hard to get into, right? But why would high fixed costs heat up rivalry in that industry?
It takes a long time to make profit.
It takes a long time to make profits, and if you've already paid a lot of money to be in this industry and some chump tries to come in, you're gonna be a little pissed because you're stuck in this place, right? It's hard to get in. If someone else comes in, you can't switch what you're doing, so you're gonna do whatever you can to crush them. Okay? Low market growth. Why might that heat up rivalry? Market's not growing. Why is that a problem?
Because there's not like more to go around, so you have to take over what is already there.
Exactly. Cool. All right. One more thing. There's a sixth force. Porter didn't originally come up with it, but if you look at other books, you see the sixth force come up. But you guys have any idea who this is?
Professor.
He is a professor. He was actually my professor. I hated him. You guys drink honest tea?
Yeah.
Okay. If you look on the back, there's always a message from Seth and Barry. That's these guys. All right. He's also an economist, and he works at the Yale School of Management. Yeah, I didn't take this class with him because I disliked him so much, but he had a pretty good idea, which was Porter's 5 forces is a zero-sum game. It basically says any profits that one firm wants, another firm can't get. All right. Barry Nailbuff basically said, well, think about it from a game theoretic perspective instead, right? There can be reasons why it would be beneficial to service 2 firms in a similar industry, okay? And he basically said, think about how these various people interact. And that gives you an idea about whether or not they are competitors, whether or not they are customers, and whether or not, specifically, they are complementers. And this is the 6th force, okay? If customers value your product more in the presence of something, then that thing is a complement. Companies can create their own complements, or complements can come from external, okay? For example, the iPhone was created, right? A way to add value to the iPhone was creating what? Phones,
Cases. Apple Store.
cases, Apple Store. Cases too, those are all things that complement it, okay? So this is the 6th force. If there are other industries out there that complement what you're doing, they can increase your profits, okay? Now, if you did the reading, you would have seen all these. Please do the reading for next time, okay? But I want to just go through and try doing an industry analysis, okay? You all know this industry, all right? Fast food. Who's in this industry? The first thing you do is define the industry boundaries. Who's in the fast food industry?
McDonald's.
McDonald's, okay? Who else?
Burger King, Taco Bell.
Burger King, Taco Bell, Wendy's, okay? Subway.
Applebee's.
Is Applebee's in the fast food industry?
Fast casual.
They're fast casual. That'd be slightly, no, this is fair. That'd be slightly different. This is the when. This is the where, what, who, and how. Okay, what are you doing? Where are you doing it? Who are you targeting? And how are you bringing the thing to market? Okay, for Applebee's, is it fast?
It's slow, but it's the same as fast food. Like it's the same thing.
So I don't disagree that the supplying is similar, right? But you have to sit down.
Yes.
You have to sit down, wait for them to bring you your food. Okay? Are you going to go to McDonald's and see a long line and then be like, I'm going to go to Applebee's?
No.
Is that what's going to happen?
Maybe if you're deep.
Okay, maybe not, right? Let's say, for example, that you didn't know what industry that you're in. Okay, there's 2 things that you could do. Okay, 1, you can look at 10Ks, and 2, you can use something called strategic groups. So if you go to a 10K, you guys can't read this, I realize that now. This is McDonald's and Wendy's. They say who they compete against. They help you define who their industry segment is, right? McDonald's restaurants compete with international, national, regional, and local retailers of food products. They even say how they compete. They compete on the basis of price, convenience, and service. Right? They tell you who they compete against. So oftentimes you can do research and just figure out who else should be in that industry. Okay? Christina's shaking her head.
Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah.
Do you not buy it?
I
You're bored.
no.
No worries, no worries. Okay? So you can look it up. You can go to the financials. They'll tell you who they compete against. Or you can think about it in terms of groups, right? You can think about some of the qualities of the restaurant and then just plot them together. Okay? Low prestige, low price. Okay? Get all the fast food people. All right? You move up a little bit. Slightly higher price. Prestige, I don't know necessarily, but then you got the casual dining people. Okay? And then up here you got like the steakhouses, right? So you just think about some characteristics and that can help you figure out who's in the industry. It works for thinking about sit down versus fast food and local versus national. All right, so fast food, local, right? I've never seen, you can come in. No? Okay. Boloco, Anna's, these are local, okay? National sit down versus local sit down. This is a way to figure out who's in the industry, right? The other thing is when you plot something like this, you can figure out where there are gaps, where certain people's needs aren't being met. You know, maybe there's a need for a regional, semi-fast food restaurant, right? It tells you who's not being serviced, okay? The next thing you have to do is figure out who else matters in this place, okay? And sometimes thinking about PESTLE can help you figure that out, right? So clearly, there's the other competitors in the fast food space. But who else do you have to think about if you're trying to understand what forces are at work in this industry?
Not according to this, but the previous slide.
Yep.
I faced a problem when I was doing my research
Oh,
outside of the school.
okay.
So the lack of information on companies,
Mm-hmm.
on competitors and markets.
Yep.
How do we do a research and analysis if there is no information?
Okay. So it depends on what space you're trying to analyze, okay? If you're looking at publicly traded companies, there's going to be a lot.
Right, but if
Okay.
it's not public, it's private companies like local. If we, for example, to analyze, I don't know, Dorchester,
Okay.
I don't know, Boston, downtown.
It's going to be harder. So if you're a private company, if a private company, I don't have to tell you anything. I really don't. So it might be harder to analyze that company in particular. So what you'd have to do instead is think about what other trends you can understand, right? You can't necessarily have one local grocery store get you any information, but you can see how grocery sales have increased over time. That information is collected by the census.
So where do you get that information?
I'm going to show you.
Cool.
I'm going to show you where to get all kinds of information.
Because it's all old, from 2016.
Yep.
Everything that I went through, and they don't update anything yearly, like annually.
Not some of it's not annually. Some of it's pretty regular. There's certain. I'll show you the difference. There are some data sets that are updated quarterly, right? And so you can understand just how an industry is growing. Okay. Yeah. Other questions? All right. Who else matters in the fast food space besides the companies themselves?
The consumers.
The consumers, distributors, consumers, right? Here, let me X out of this because I want to write this down. Come on, work. Okay. Distributors, okay. Consumers do matter. Consumer tastes especially. Right? You got all this Beyond Meat stuff happening. All right, what else?
Government,
How so?
regulation.
Absolutely.
Taxes.
Who else?
What suppliers fall with distributors?
Well, they could be one and the same, or they could be separate. So we'll put up suppliers. I like it. What else?
To sum everything up, the supply chain, basically the supply chain activities.
All right, so, okay. The important goal of this is to understand that there's lots of other people that matter in terms of figuring out industry analysis. It's not just the players in the space, okay? And the last thing we're going to do before I let you go is we're going to at least start this, okay? Is that you think about each, damn it! I'm going to have to transcribe this later. I'm going to have said damn it in the transcription. Okay. Okay. The next thing is you analyze each one of the forces and see what's the case. All right. So the first one, buyer power, high or low? High. Why is it high?
You just go somewhere else.
Switching costs. Okay. Very easy. All right. Supplier power.
Low.
Who said low? Elaborate.
I think about like the Idaho potatoes that McDonald's gets.
Mhm.
They do whatever McDonald's says.
Yep. So supplier power is actually pretty low. You can, well, again, lots of commodity, undifferentiated goods. Okay. No one farm can do anything to McDonald's or to any of the big fast food players because they can just go someplace else. So the switching costs for McDonald's are low, and it's an undifferentiated product. So high buyer power, the low supplier power. Threat of substitutes.
High.
Pretty high. How so?
The trends of healthy lifestyle, healthy eating.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, so you're basically saying that because trends have changed, the threat of substitutes has gone up.
Yeah.
Right? There's more stuff that people can buy instead. It used to be if you wanted a burger, you just wanted a damn burger. But now, you're thinking about your figure, you're like, well, you know, maybe I need to go get a Kind Bar instead of a burger. Exactly. So threat of substitutes is pretty high. Threat of new entrants. Low. Okay, so you're probably not going to have anyone jumping into the industry at the national level, right? It's very expensive to create something like a McDonald's or a Wendy's or a Burger King. At the local level, maybe. Opening one restaurant, not hard. But a national restaurant that can compete with McDonald's, okay, pretty low. Last one, industry competition. High or low? High. Why is it high?
Lots of fast food competitors, all kind of doing the same thing.
Yep. Lots of people, lots of competitors. Some of them are similar sizes. That heats up competition. So, on average, what does that mean about this industry? It's not optimal, so what would that be reflected in? Say it? Low profitability. There's not a lot of profits to go around in fast food. Right? Kevin, you seem confused. No? Okay. Yeah. Not a lot of profits to go around in fast food. All right. I gotta let you guys go. We're gonna finish this up next time, and we're gonna talk about Apple. Please read the materials, especially the Apple case, because we're gonna be talking about it next time. I'll have to send it to you. It's coffee, right? Yeah. I'll have to send it to you. I mean, there is. It's on Blackboard. I don't know if it's on Blackboard. I don't know if you're able to get to Blackboard yet.
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
Yep.